Welcome, everybody, to the February 5th, 2025 regular board meeting. Pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to remove items 3 and 4 from the agenda. Can I get a motion to remove items 3 and 4 from the agenda? I will motion to remove items 3 and 4 from the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, welcome everybody again. Hope you're staying relatively warm. It's pretty brutal out there today. We'll move on. See any public comment? Oh, consent agenda. Sorry about that. Yes, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Correct, we have no public comments.
Okay,
You have
so we're not trying to rush this.
no, it's all good. It's all good. It's all
There
good.
is a basketball game going on right now.
So I will tell you, as things continue to progress throughout the afternoon, snow's falling in Ferndale, snow's falling in Bellingham. People live outside of the district and people are concerned, and so reached out to Steve and connected. We're like, want to make sure it's good, and so we talked about it. We'll postpone and reschedule those, and I don't know that they'll all happen in the same evening. We might pepper them over the next couple of meetings, but just so you know, that's good, what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first item A under new business is a new item. It was not there Friday. It appeared Monday or Tuesday. This is Aldrich Consulting. We have a student that we have being served in Utah, and there is a plan to bring her back home. And this consultant works with families to help that transition so that they are prepared and that the transition is smooth. And so this is a recent development, and this is something that we are required to provide as that continuation service for the student, but it is also the better placement for her to be home. So that's what this is, and it's a first read tonight, and then we'll ask for approval on the next meeting.
Can I ask a question about this? I was just wondering if when she comes back from Utah, will she be placed at Meridian, or will she be homeschooled, or is that?
Programming is still being worked on. She's been home to visit. She's been coming to the school, so I think that's the intent, but I think there are a lot of factors that have to be worked through. Sure. But I think everything that we don't typically serve students in the school, so I think everything that we're working for is to have her be served by our district.
And what I'm reading in this is the hours are $300 per billable hour, up to 20 hours is what we're agreeing to.
Correct.
So we can move on to old business. Second review and adoption of MSD board operating protocols. As written, I think the only thing we kind of talked about was that first paragraph, but
It didn't, that's a clerical. I will put that in place.
Okay.
And then we'll have you sign at the next meeting.
Okay.
But we'll use today's. Yeah. So we'll do approval with edits. Yeah. Item number 1.
Can I get a motion to adopt second review and adoption of MSD board operating protocols?
Make a motion, we adopt Meridian School District Board Operating Protocol as presented.
And I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Okay. Old business, item B is the Meridian School District 505 bond election resolution. Can I get a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to approve general obligation bond resolution 01-25 as detailed in attachments.
Second,
Second,
all those in favor?
Aye.
okay,
Motion to adopt second review and approval of policy 2195P academic acceleration.
I'll make a motion to approve 2195P.
And I'll second.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Policy procedure 3246, strength, isolation, and other uses of reasonable force.
I can motion to adopt policy and procedure 3246, restraint, isolation, and other uses of reasonable force.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to approve policy 3416, medication at school.
I'll make a motion to approve policy 3416P. Did you have a question?
I had one question. I was waiting for a response on.
On the secretaries, if they get higher pay. I got back to you. It's in their job description. But I also want to review some notes before I give you the definitive answer.
It's in the notes
Yeah,
of their job description.
the job description, it's in their essential duties and responsibilities. It's
Okay.
items, I think, 10 and 11.
Thank you. Okay. Second.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Back to you at 11 this morning, Michelle. There was a lot of stuff in there. Okay, moving on, superintendent's report.
All right, first, I don't have it on anything. But I want to make sure you know the great work that our maintenance group. Transportation, even Lisa, just everyone operating in their own world, but working together and just making sure. You know, the idea of, we have conversations about getting students to school, staff to school, but also talking about, once they get here, is it safe to walk across the parking lot? And what's happening with the ice melt, and how is the parking lot gonna be? And I talked to Jay and he's super pleased with how each of the buildings prepared for this weather. We received a risk pool warning letter today, just watch out for your pipes and make sure things are, you know, all the different things you do. And our people have been on top of it. Michelle and Jay both drive in the morning to make assessments, and then confer with me, and then Lisa too. And so just when it comes snow and these kinds of things, our team's done a real nice job.
As it pertains to snow and school closures coming up with the weekend, do we have like the Family Resources Center or someone reaching out to families that may have food scarcity issues?
They
And
do,
and
and
then I saw the notice that it was actually closed today after 2 days the food bank. And so it's like, I had some great concern for our students who do need those services.
But we have two staff members, and I don't know what the circumstance was around being able to be in the center to have it open, but, when we can, we do, when they do a lot of stuff from home to connect with families and make sure they've got support, so they've got who they're working with and they're making contact, but in terms of, we did have to close it for a couple days.
Schedule wise, it was unfortunate that it came off of a 4-day break for like meals.
Agreed. So a lot of gratitude for people working behind the scenes. Joe, I'd include you in that too. Thank you. Okay. So I shared a couple of meetings ago that I was, or I guess it was the last meeting I was going to participate in. Conversation about leadership pipeline in the state. And when we think about whether it be building principals or central office or superintendents, our pipeline starts with teachers. And so we have for the last probably 5 to 10 years seen a decline in the number of people that are actually going into public school administration. And I can tell you the last 4 years, we have 295 districts. So you can figure it's about 295 superintendents just in the superintendent role. For the last 4 years, each year, 50 to 65 people have rotated out, either retiring or moving to a different position, right? So that's creating a hole. And of course, the pipeline for superintendents are building administrators and central office administrators, right? So it's that whole piece of how do we look at what's going on in the state? And so we looked at it, and I'm not looking at the same thing here. We looked at it with aspiring, launching, building and becoming and mastering. And so the idea is how do we legitimately entice people to think about a career of administration in public education in Washington State? And we had representatives from WASA, we had representatives from AWSP, which is the Principals Association, AESD, which is the ESD State Association, also some representatives from higher ed, thinking about the internships they have for principals. When Kurt and I did our internship, it was for a semester long. Now the internship provides you 10 to 12 days. Wow. It's not a lot of time to actually deal with an issue from beginning to end to resolution and be able to circle back or see how it comes to fruition. It's not great. And so how do we provide that? A lot of times the funding that's there for the internships historically it comes from the state of Washington, the legislature. That's getting smaller and smaller, like the other budget issues. So we have some ideas. It's going to require some more meeting as well, but it's good conversation. It's the first time we've actually had multiple agencies come together in the same space to be able to say, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm seeing. What about this? Could this work? So I don't have anything more to share with you right now. Just trying to think about how could we help this on a long-term solution.
So of the boards and other associations you're a part of, what was connected to this? What organization had you attend this?
WASA.
Okay.
Being involved with WASA. And the fact that I'm an acting superintendent right now. And I had served on the board at AWSP when I was in the principalship, so I had some different connections. Okay. I shared this last time that, and these are connected in board docs with my presentation, and these are the actual 3 different one-pagers dealing with the big 3 issues around what's happening with lack of funding for constitutionally required areas. We've talked about before, so special ed, MSOCs, and transportation. It seems like there's a lot of energy behind special ed and MSOCs, not so much transportation, which serves us because we're doing pretty well with transportation. So, but even if they only funded one part, it's still gonna benefit us. So So I just wanted to make sure you knew that those were in your board docs for you. On the 28th, I have meetings with Rep. Rule, Rep. Timmons, and Senator Shoemake on the big three. And then I also stayed to testify on TK. The chair of the Education Committee is Representative Santos. And we talked about this last biennium where there was a lot of consternation about transitional kindergarten. And she was unhappy that it had materialized over time and it wasn't a legislative endeavor. It was something that had happened because state law allows you to serve 4-year-olds. What she didn't like is the legislature did not approve that. And school districts were claiming apportionment because they're serving the students. So what she did last year, in 23, she had a bill drafted that passed that said it's not going to be transitional K anymore, it'll be transition to kindergarten or TTK. And then separated funding outside of basic ed and had a separate allocation. And this is one of the things that we shared, we may have a shortfall because they anticipated that we would have 5,500 students served this year statewide. And I think 8,000 students are being shared or served, not shared, served. So this bill has to do with pulling TTK into the same rules that DCYF has for ECAP. ECAP is the state's outside of K-12 system for serving 3 and 4-year-olds. It requires licensing, it requires additional training, it requires additional certifications for teachers. And our teachers are qualified and doing early learning for a long time. And it's really a matter of the adults not agreeing on where the funding is coming from and how to serve the students. And so my messaging was, we can look at doing something like this, but we need to not put more burden on school districts. Much of what she's proposed are unfunded mandates. So my advocacy was, and I testified to other, great, let's look at it, but let's also talk to families across the state. A lot of where I think her perspective is that some groups that are outside of K-12, that's early learning centers that serve children that aren't attached to school systems, they're having TK children go to school systems and they're losing some of their clientele. And that's this representative's perspective. And that may be true in some places in the state, but it's not true everywhere. For us, there are lots of kids who need support. There's plenty of students or children to go around to help. We just don't have providers. Like in our area, we don't have any providers. So the other part of what I said is it's not the same everywhere. And then the other piece I did when I was down there is I talked with Tyler Munch, who is the Director of Advocacy and External Affairs. And the reason I spoke to him is because he understands the capital landscape in trying to get funding for the Washington County schools.
Here's how this impacts the early learning center that we're going forward with. If we're not confident there'll be funding for TK programs. Or those two different conversations.
Two different things, because TK is where we're serving children right now in Irene Ryder.
Correct.
The early learning center is to create is to fill a need that the county, particularly unincorporated Whatcom County, has, and that is to provide opportunities for children who are young in our area to be served. We never intended to serve them through our school district. We were in a contract with someone, whether that be YMCA or Boys and Girls Club or whoever it's going to be. So two different things.
So it will be a cost to families using those services at early learning.
Probably, yeah, probably. So we'll see. That's the same that occurs right now in that field, right? So
that's why the concern that there might be tapping into taking a revenue flow from other paid early learning centers, because our model won't be that much different from others that are in commercial.
yeah, every early learning center, some are subsidized, some are not. So the example I gave them around Opportunity Council is an early learning provider that we actually have at Irene Ryder. We contract with them, and what I described in my testimony is we don't operate outside of Opportunity County, we can actually confer with them and decide how we place students based on what the student needs. And so they may end up in the ECAP classroom, they could end up in the Head Start classroom, or they end up in the TK classroom. We don't do it independently. Some places in the state are doing it independently. Representative Santos even said, while it sounds like you did it like it was intended, we want to make sure it's being done that way across the state, so. I personally think she has another role, another intent, and that is to eliminate TK and have it all fall under DCYF. So. Well. All right, just another shameless plug for some more Thriving Futures. So, middle school next week, and then after that, Irene Ryder. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Again, the bond measure, the big three, and just like a broken record, ledge session, budgets.
As we won't know, this legislative session ends the 27th.
Right, so the way that timing plays out, and I did put this out in a family message too. We won't know what relief we'll get from the state if we get relief from the state. So let's say we get 600 million for special ed across the state. Whenever the budget's passed and they're done in the legislature on the 27th, it's been taking OSPI 3 to 4 weeks to crunch the numbers and be able to identify what each district is going to get of that 600 million. So when we do our budget, we have to do it on what revenue and expenditures we know we have. And we can't do a budget on what we hope we're going to get from the state. So we will likely have a reduction of some size. And then if we do receive funding, which we're hopeful, but that's not a strategy. If we do receive funding, we will also have a higher back list that we'll go through. We've already met with our union groups to talk through that this is the procedure. And it's just the fact that it's a long session. Some sessions are 60 days and some are 105. Okay. We had 2 presentations pretty quickly together. So Director Lynette Brower and I and David Vanderyacht attended the Walk-in Business Alliance, their 2025 annual meeting. We were invited to present. And so we shared with that group progress, what our intent is. The reason why we had David there is one of the conditions that we're putting together in the agreement for the skill center is that the host district won't be, their superintendent won't be the admin council chair. And so, as I've shared before, I was admin council chair for the one in Mount Vernon for 4 years. But Mount Vernon has never had their superintendent be admin council chair, but they serve in the admin council. So David has taken an interest and kind of floated to the top. And so we thought it would be good. And he was eager to join us to also hear us talk about the skill center and how things are going to move forward. We have in enrollment some exciting pieces. We're actually going to run some programs as an extension of NCTA next fall. So we're going to add early childhood ed. We're going to add medical assisting. And we're going to add tourism and what is the other word of that, Kurt?
Usually it's tourism and hospitality.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a block.
It's out of WSU. They have a
Yeah,
huge.
tourism and hospitality. So those are the 3, what's going to be exciting about, and then we'll move fire science out to the new facility as well. What's exciting about that is we'll be able to offer it AM and PM. And right now, when we do just morning only, it creates an absence in the balance of the schedule at the high school because you have 40 kids in the morning and they all come back in the afternoon. So here you can be regulated. So pretty excited about that development. Then the following year, we'll already have enrollment that we can anticipate when we take over, and we can do a better job of planning and being up the budget for what we're gonna have.
Can you go back to the fire science since there's an AM and PM? That's on our campus still, right?
Currently, there's just an AM.
AM, okay, so it won't increase our transportation costs for an AM. PM,
No,
'cause
people
it'll
will
be
be
here.
coming to
Perfect,
Meridian.
okay.
Yeah, they'll be coming to. Yeah. And then the other presentation we had was with the Eleanor and Henry Jansen Foundation, at the Jansen Arts Center in Linden. They have for some time been super interested about the skill center. And so, and both of those went really well. Positive response, so continuing to just answer questions. We did talk about both presentations, the ability to start a funding campaign to try and bring some funds to the legislature to entice them to move forward. The other reason for talking with Tyler Munch at OSPI was to also identify whether there is the possibility of taking that long list of prioritization. I think I've described it before, but I'll do it again. Right now with the legislature, they have asked that every skill center, there's 17, prioritize the modernization, things that they want to have done. So some want a new roof, some want to expand it and add more programs, so they need more facilities. These are anywhere from a $2 million project to a $30 million project. And so the idea is you have a certain amount allocated to capital projects or skill centers. If there's 50 million added and that takes care of 6 projects, those 6 projects get funded and then everyone else moves up. Currently, we're number 8 on that list because it's modernization, new project, modernization. And what we're doing is we're talking about putting 2 lists together and having them concurrent, new and modernization. If they go for that, we'll be number 1 on new. So it's an effort to try and have them rethink about how they're doing. Kids who are in skill centers that are asking for modernization funds are being served right now. Our kids are not being served, right? So that's the legal approach. Oh. I think I should do this before. It's the different places. No, it's the different places that we've been able to receive funding. So some from the county, executive's office, some from Senator Murray's office, congressional directed spending, some from the state with 2 provisos, 3 million to the early learning center and 2.1 for the district office, and then several from either the Mount Baker Foundation, the Whatcom Community Foundation, and is there another one? And then also from Commerce.
Clarification, the Whatcom Community Foundation. Is that that's the same foundation that Nooksack received their $1 million from too as well, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So our $1 million is going towards the Urban Learning Center. Okay.
And then upcoming dates. We do have district-wide student advisory tomorrow, so we'll run that tomorrow. And we have kindergarten registration is the 18th, so if you know anybody with youngins, that's county-wide, so all districts have agreed to do their registration at the same time. And then we have a board meeting on the 19th, and then NCCE conference in Seattle, and then the National Education Conference in New Orleans. And that's it.
We were talking about doing the collaboration with University of Washington for AI. Has there been any progress on that? And did I miss the update on that?
There hasn't been an update, and so we haven't, we need to put together a policy around AI. We're working on that.
Okay.
And so part of the difficulty around starting working in something without policy, it's like there's a chicken and egg piece of it, and we have not worked much with that. A lot of what they're wanting is classroom-based work with that, and predominantly in math, but we're gonna be doing some work with that this spring, but we haven't really had a lot of progress on it yet.
I just know from a business standpoint, it's a huge topic in the business world. And if we could make some progress towards that, that'd be great.
Absolutely, and it's something that we've been working towards. I did it in the AI session they had in Spokane when they canceled the one on the west side. The one on the west side was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Aaron did attend that, so Aaron's coming out tonight, so we're definitely looking at it and working through it. But we're also not wanting to be on the bloody edge of it, right?
True.
But yeah,
But I mean, I'm even hearing from parents, like, what are we doing to get kids prepared? Especially as we go hand in hand with career technical. It's going to be part of everything they're learning for a new job, a new world, like, it's so different.
Right there with you.
Okay.
Well, there's no student board directors, so is there any information from our board directors? Minus basketball games tonight. Nope. Yeah, well, we can adjourn and sign some official documents. Thank you so much.
That's a record right there, like 7 minutes. You witnessed it. You're live.
I wasn't trying.
You did a great job.
You do that every